Hello everyone and welcome to Business Africa. I am Amel Nga. Coming up, economic opportunities. Africa now has more than $650 trillion in financial transactions. Gabon puts an end to its partnership with SEEG, a subsidiary of the French company Veolia. And then the United States gives $41 million in investment to 3 African countries, producers of cashew nuts. Africa is increasingly being promoted in terms of economic and financial transactions. The continent alone accounts for more than $650 trillion in transactions every year. According to the latest report of the African Development Bank, the growth that accelerated in Africa in 2017 is expected to continue in 2018 and 2019. More details in this story with Brisky Nu and Michael DB.
Africa now collects about $500 billion in tax revenue every year. $50 billion in foreign aid, $60 billion in remittances, and $60 billion in FDI inflows. More than $100 trillion is managed by institutional investors and commercial banks globally. And as such, African countries seeking financial resources now have a wide variety of options well beyond foreign aid. This is one of the key highlights in the 2018 African Economic Outlook released by the African Development Bank, AfDB. The event was at the ordinary section of the Assemblies of the African Union held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, with the team removing obstacles to investment infrastructures. More than 180 pages in-depth report provides short to medium-term forecast on evaluation of key microeconomy indicators for all the AfDB's 54 member African countries. The report highlights how African infrastructure requirements run between $130 to $170 billion a year, far higher than the long-accepted figure of $93 billion a year. President, African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina emphasized that infrastructure projects are among the most profitable investment any society can make.
An end to a controversial contract between the state of Gabon and the energy and water distribution company SEEG, a subsidiary of the French company Veolia, a breach that occurred when both parties had extended for 5 years the contract that had been binding them since 1997. Details of a painful divorce with Chancellor Nyingi and Amelia Nakitimbo.
On Friday, the 16th of February, the Gabonese government ended a 20-year contract with an energy and water company, a subsidiary of the French Veolia Group. The reasons given included, among others, the deterioration in the quality of services provided to the consumers. The French company was temporarily seized. We demanded for reasons in the interest of the public, in the interest of preserving continuity and quality water. The investments made during the 20-year period were not sufficient to address the shortcomings noted. I think we divorced. The French group, for its part, describes the measure as brutal and deplores the use of police forces for its seizure. The environment inside the siege was detrimental. We need to protect the people who are in charge. I think it was better to be able to deal with the law enforcement officers. But there is no brutality and everything went well. Veolia, a water and energy distributor for the past 20 years, has invested 366 billion CFA francs or 558 million euros since 1997 to expand the network. The temporary termination of the group is considered a breach of contract, which for the Gabonese who've been deprived of water for years will not offer a miracle solution.
To talk about it, we have online economist Paul-Alphonse Sopo from Douala in Cameroon. Hello, Mr. Sopo, and welcome to Business Africa.
Hello, madam. Thanks for hosting me on Business Africa.
How can we understand the backpedaling of Gabon, which was very much involved in a public-private partnership with the SEEG?
In reality, there is no escape on the part of the Gabonese authorities. Remember, the latter was never satisfied with the benefits of water and electricity distribution. and whereby the consumer, as you know, there is a subsidiary of the French Veolia. And this is the reason over which these authorities, who are part of the economy that has been short of investment and poor management and the distribution of water and electricity, according to an American auditor. That is what the Gabonese government has blamed its partners for. First, lack of investment. Two, the non-adaptation of the network for the distribution of drinking water and electricity. Three, the inefficiency of the administrative management and commercial. And four, the constant increase in tariffs. So you see, with all these failures, the Gabonese government had to review its partnership contract with the water and electricity company.
What explains the privatizations in the majority of African countries, especially Congo, which has just embarked on a process of privatization of its water and electricity companies?
Privatization has been imposed on African countries, which at that time were aware of their financial difficulties by the drastic declines of prices of their raw materials by the International Monetary Fund. These had been seen as a steering funds that could have allowed these countries to find financial solutions before the move to balance the differences if macroeconomic levels could have allowed. The privatizations had rather produced the opposite effect. Unfortunately, there are several African countries that have really not understood the fault within the economy, that it is elsewhere, and that in reality it depends on the willingness of the Western world. The Republic of Congo has just fallen back once more, according to the IMF. Without, however, analyzing this new decision by the Congolese government, it is now time that the Congolese authorities should look at their neighbors, Gabon, to understand that water and electricity distribution are services that cannot be managed by the public service, falling within the sovereign functions of the state.
Is the privatization of the strategic sectors of the economy, such as water, electricity, railway, not a leak in front of African governments in the face of the necessity of more orthodox management of national enterprises?
In Africa, we have a lot of human resources and who are very competent in all areas within the economy and the social life. The evidence are at times foreigners who are working even harder in different countries. The privatization, therefore, has always the right option to help many African governments, because in reality, there is no need to hide and see that the management mode imposed most often by this management of these enterprises headed by foreigners, at times they are disastrous and we cannot take it. Take, for instance, Cameroon, an example. We have very famous FECAM, became Camrel under the management of Mr. Bolloré, or still the Sonel, which has now become AES Sonel and ENEO. It is not superfluous to recall that Cameroon has taken over the management and the distribution of water, and the studies are currently underway to review the management of rail and electricity. Africans in today's interest is reviewing the paradigm of the economic policy, and if they want to ensure their development, because the model imposed by the IMF is not suitable for countries such as ours that are not yet familiar to technologies to enable them to develop.
Thank you, Paul Alphonse Sopo, for your insights, an economist from the economic capital of Cameroon.
Thank you very much, and see you soon.
After the break, we will mark a pause in 3 West African countries which will benefit from $41 million in aid from the United States to develop the cashew nut industry. À tout de suite.